Okay. Oh, man. Hi. Sorry, I don't know if it's going to happen every time I do live. If it happens again, I'm just going to go live from my phone. The reason I don't go live from my phone is because my phone has some audio issues, but I can do that and just put my headphones in. So if the laptop cuts off the camera again, that's what I'm going to do. And I don't know why the camera just continues to go off randomly. Gonna give everybody a few minutes. Hey, Michelle. Sorry, I have no idea why the camera just times out sometimes. I had literally just set up the live, so it's not like the computer was like going to sleep or anything. So and I'll say this as more people come in, but those of you who are here, if it cuts out again, I am going to go live from my phone rather than the laptop. The reason I don't do that is because I don't know how the audio will be. I'm having some issues with my phone. So I don't know. I can just wear my headphones if I have to, though. So that's going to be my next step if it happens again. Anyways, how's everybody's week been? My week was a typical work week. Just busy. Busy. I'm going to get this set up in case it's something that we end up having to do. Hey, Eva, how are you? Hello. Is everybody excited it's the weekend? I'm excited I'll get to sleep in. Super excited about that. I don't know what's going on. I've got some crossing of some cords over here. Hey, Melody, how are you doing? Does anybody have any questions? There's a couple of things that I came prepared to talk about, and then of course every time I come to a live prepared to talk about other topics, something ends up happening on YouTube and with Katie and all of that stuff. So if that's something you guys want to talk about, we can talk about it. I was going to talk about the Rich Lux, Dustin Dailey, Luscious issue. I also did start watching some documentaries and stuff, not the one on Netflix, but the ones that some of you guys sent me about the Chris Watts guy, so I can talk about that. Hey, Nurse Kimberly, always up for talking about. I know everybody is, and I'm cool with it. I have some opinions of what transpired today. Oh, I'm sorry you've had a rough day, Melody. Hopefully, some chatting on here will make your day a little bit better. Hey, Britt, how are you? Are you excited it's the weekend? Exactly. Happy Friday. Yeah, she is always messing with someone. Yeah, she is a dumpster fire. I know it's the weekend. I'm so happy it's the weekend. I said earlier, I did not sleep well last night for some reason. I mean, most of us are adults, if not all of us, and I think we all have this struggle at some point. Some nights I just can't go to sleep. I may be exhausted, I may be tired, but when I go to lay down, like my body just won't go to sleep. And that happened to me last night. My husband too, maybe we were feeding off of each other, but neither one of us could fall asleep. So I didn't get very much sleep last night. And then I worked today, and it was a pretty busy day today. So I'm just happy it's Friday and that I don't have to wake up in the morning. Hey, Dark Lily, how are you? Dumpster diver? Well, I mean, she might be dumpster diving for some stuff. So, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to really approach. Hey, Della, I don't really know how to approach everything with her right now. Like, I don't, it's hard for me to try and like think of my words. I had somebody, and she'll probably, exactly, Britt. I had somebody, Dottie, and she usually will join my lives, and I don't know if she's in here now, but she actually commented on my community tab just before I got on this live, and she asked a question because I've talked about, hey, Susie, I've talked about the Sophie stuff from a rather neutral standpoint, and I've provided both sides from being somebody who's worked in child welfare before and kind of knowing what potential outcomes there could be. I've come at it from that way in a live with you guys before. I have provided more of my opinion. I've always said I stood with the child, and I still stand with the child. What Katie has provided, although maybe court documents, she said the one thing that we all have to keep in mind is until it goes to court, what Katie says, what I say, what anybody says means absolutely nothing other than our opinion, because we are not a judge. So it still has to go in front of a judge. There's still a ton of evidence. Just because Katie has some information of what evidence there may be, just because she has gotten 1,200 pages of, dependency court records, does not mean she knows what's actually going on. And I really hope that people are able to understand that, because again, the way that Katie reports the information she gets, she reports it as fact. And although she may be reading those documents, she is still providing her opinion on how they are being deciphered. Her tone of voice, the inflection you use when you talk, all can suggest a certain thing to somebody who's watching or listening. Please keep that in mind. Am I saying what Katie read is false? No, I'm not saying that. I don't think she's that stupid. I hope she's not that stupid. And she did provide what she was deciding to show us and report on. She did show it to the screen. The thing I have is there were 1,200 pages. She showed us what, maybe 5 or 6? But we are supposed to be convinced off of those 5 or 6 and those few little nitbits that she pulled out that it's pushing what she is saying. Like I said before, I can play devil's advocate for everything the dad's saying and everything the mom's saying. At the end of the day, we still need to stand with Sophie. Until everything is said and done, whether this actually happened to her or not, the child still provided a disclosure. So to some extent, as I know even Katie has acknowledged, this child has been abused to some degree. And that just needs to be agreed on. And everybody just needs to stop. Everybody continues to say, let's stop talking about it. Let's let court handle it. And honestly, like, why are they not following through with that? That's what I don't get. Like, Katie has made that comment. Let's just let the courts handle it. Stop pushing to all the other YouTubers covering it. Stop pushing with the dad saying you look like fools. And then she wants to just report on what she's getting from the mom side and push that out. And she even said in her video or her live or whatever it was today, she said the reason she came back with this was because she wanted to finally have something to back up what she was saying, her opinion of everything she had talked about. So I hope her subscribers who are like die hard are able to at least make that correlation, that previous to her having those documents, everything she was saying was her opinion. I hope they can catch on to that. Kimberly, I'm a ped nurse and familiar with CPS. She speaks very out of terms. Yeah, she doesn't know the terminology that she's using. And I harp on her all the time, especially when we're talking about stuff like this. I've worked in child welfare. I'm not sure if you've been in the lives where I've provided a little bit more information as far as to what line of work I did. I've kind of always been under the guise that I'm not going to come out and say what I specifically did, but if you listen to how I talk, you can deduce what kind of work I did. Yeah, Dottie, and you know, your comment is why I started talking about this first. Like she's not a lawyer, so she can't decipher the court documents. And she even says at one point she's not going to show it because of the language. So to me, I'm like, well, is it language that you don't understand, or is it language that you don't understand and you may mess up? Like, what language are you referring to that you don't want your viewers to see? You know, like that was questionable to me. She also at one point like started to say, what was she saying? It had something to do with CPS, and she was saying that they were proven, and then she stopped mid-sentence and said they were unfounded because she almost misspoke. You cannot, if CPS has an unfounded closing, that is different from not proven. Just telling you, it is. So she almost misspoke, which makes me think that maybe she had either notes that she had spoken to her attorney that she allegedly has, or she had spoken to a attorney somewhere and was maybe given some guidance on what terminology she shouldn't be using to keep herself from getting in legal trouble. But she was almost threatening 10 to life in the dad challenge. Just because their stuff was being used in court in the courts as evidence doesn't necessarily mean the courts are going to charge them criminally. If anything, I would think that they were using that evidence to show if it was trying to prove the dad was going beyond what he needed to get it out on social media. I don't know how 10 to life or Josh or Annie or Josh would be held responsible because they don't know what the courts have ordered. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they could actually be charged criminally unless you can prove that they fully were aware prior to putting it out on their social medias. And Josh has never, from the dad challenge, he never said anything point blank. He interviewed Michael and he provided his opinion and why he stood with the child. Did he come at without a crystal ball? Yeah. And one thing I just have to say, and this is super duper petty, but I'm going to say it now before maybe more people come in the chat that I don't know. I hate the way she says gag. She says it really weird. And I think it's just because she's further away up north than I am. But she continued to say that word. And every time she said it, it just irked me. No offense if you have like a northern accent and you say it like that, but I was just getting really irritated. Yeah, I did see that, Britt, that she said, hey guys, coming to you from my studio of research. She didn't do any research though, because she had a subscriber do it. And then there is no way that she has gone through every single 1,200 pages of that. One, she's not an attorney, so she can't decipher half of it. I'm not an attorney, but I have dealt with dependency court. And I deal with criminal justice now, and there's still documents in court proceedings that I need assistance with. And I look at court records all day, every day for like the past 5 years. So there's no way somebody without any education or any experience in either realm would be able to decipher 1,200 pages of court documents and report it to her viewers. So she nitpicked what she wanted to talk about. Or she was being given guidance by somebody who already knew what was going on in the court stuff. Okay, Nurse Kimberly. Oh my gosh, it's been a day for me. I think it's because I didn't sleep well. I keep misspeaking. So, unfortunately, hopefully it doesn't continue to happen. But if it does, I'm sorry. At least I can acknowledge when I can't speak. And it's not because I'm drinking alcohol. I am drinking coffee to try and fix that issue. Yeah, I've seen you in Britt's channel and in her chat before. I think just based off of some of the things I've said just then, you can, if you've worked in the nursing, especially in the pediatric unit, you can probably deduce what I've done. She's delusional and a complete yeah, her own subs are catching on, and still, like, everybody, I have multiple people who are showing up in my lives. I'm a very small YouTuber. I don't think you find me unless you know what to search for. I'm being like recommended to some of them, and they'll come in the lives and they'll say that they just recently unsubbed to her, but her sub count doesn't show that. This is the same thing that happened with the BX Beast Boy stuff. A lot of people saying they unsubbed from her, but her numbers don't reflect that. Yeah, she definitely is. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I think most people kind of know the difference between custody and parental rights, but she doesn't. She uses those terms interchangeably, which makes her sound like a retard, in my opinion. That was not a nice word to say, especially because I know she takes offense to it, but it makes her sound unintelligent, especially when you're trying to convince people of what argument you're trying to put out there. It doesn't make sense for you to mess up your terminology when it's dealing with something so serious. Your sister is an attorney and won't comment on this case because it's a big crazy mess. Yeah, I don't think most attorneys would unless you are in the case, because if you don't know what you're reading, you can misunderstand what a court document is saying. You agree with me, Della? Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's probably a northern thing, like an accent from where she's from, which is, it's just bothersome to me on how she says that word. She never does research. Yeah, she usually doesn't. And this is the first time she's provided. Tell me what you guys think about this. This is the first time she's ever referenced her not being the one who got the information. Is she doing that to maybe protect herself moving forward in case she misspeaks, or in case she wasn't supposed to have access to something to be able to pin it on somebody else? Or do you think she was trying to maybe do the right thing and actually give that person some credit? Excuse me, some credit. Yeah, she says a subscriber, a source. Her opinion is also fact. Hey, Jen. I hope I sleep better tonight too, Melanie. It doesn't matter because I don't have to wake up super early in the morning, so. Hey, Malaya, how are you? Malaya, Malia, how do you pronounce your name? I think I've said it wrong before. Yeah, I agree. Like, people are saying they need to leave it to the courts, Katie included, and then they proceed to get further. Like, she has, at this point, in my opinion, she is almost just, she is running the risk of getting in trouble just as much as what she is trying to say Annie is getting in trouble for, could potentially get in trouble for, because Annie's information came directly from a parent. She's not in that state. She's not involved in the case. So I don't know how she could be held criminally responsible for anything. Could Michael, if seeing as if everything Katie said is actually in play, yeah, he probably can, but why hasn't charges been drawn up yet? because this has been going on for a month now. Some of the court dates that she said he's been violating these court orders, he could very well have maybe there is pending charges and we don't know about it, because that happens. But at the same time, like, why would they continue to leave children in an unsafe situation? That's what's mind-boggling to me, is if the children are as unsafe in either parent's care, somebody needs to step in who cares about the children and put them with a third party. And I know that's been talked about before, but they really should do that if the children are genuinely in harm's way by either parent, or if they were that concerned that things were going to be going on. I don't see why a judge would put, and this is just me like talking it out with you guys, I don't understand why a judge would put the children in a parent's care. Let's take this case out of it. Let's just say that there's allegations of some parent and they are placed with the other parent temporarily, but then there's concerns coming forward with that parent. What I have done in the past when stuff like that has happened is then neither parent has custody of the child until it's figured out, until we can go back to court. So I'm not really following how there's so much damning evidence, using Katie's words, against the dad, but the children are still with him and have been for almost a month now. If there were that many concerns that the children were that unsafe, they wouldn't be there anymore. And then she says how Michael has said, and how she knows that CPS has been to his house 5 times in the last 2 weeks. And she like brushed it off as him bragging that CPS has been there. He might have been, because they've been there and they've left. So if they have left, then they are deeming the children are currently safe in that moment. So I'm not really sure if she understands that. Sorry, I'm behind in the chat. Let me try and catch up. You're drinking a Starbucks refresher. I haven't had one of those. I'm really weird about Starbucks drinks. Yeah, I know. It continues to go up by 1,000, Nurse Kimberly. Like, every time you look, it's like a few days in between, and then she jumps. And it's like, what? Yeah, exactly, Britt. And she never loses. Like, I understand, especially like with your channel and Sloan's channel and channels like that, because I went and did some research today, that you guys are growing. But if you look, like if you go on Social Blade, anybody in this who wants to maybe oppose that there's weird stuff going on with Katie's subs, if you go on Social Blade, and Britt is a good example, if you go on Social Blade and you type in Britt's name and pull up her channel, of course, we're smaller YouTubers, so our increments are going to be less than hers, but it shows like almost every day Britt is gaining like 20, 30, 50, 100 subs, and it's showing you by day. For her, it's not. And you can pull up somebody like Dustin Daly or Rich Lux or Nick Snyder, because I've pulled all of their channels because I was planning on talking about that drama in this live. If we don't get to it, I'll just make a video about it. But you can even see their channels, who are very close, if not, I don't know what their sub counts are, but they're close to Katie's sub counts. You will see the fluctuation in their sub counts and in their views. That only Katie's is only skyrocketing, but you don't hear people constantly saying, I'm leaving Rich Lux's channel, I'm leaving Nick Snyder's channel, I'm leaving, so-and-so's channel, but you constantly are seeing people say that they're leaving Katie's. So why is that not being reflected? Is she really gaining? Like, the only thing I can think of, and this is giving her the benefit of the doubt, is that her videos are being pushed that much into the algorithm, that she's getting that many new viewers who don't know her antics and are subscribing immediately on first watch of a video. That's the only benefit of the doubt I can think of for her to be continually gaining viewers the way she is and subscribers. You thought she did a good job with the Stoffers, but once the New York interview, it went to her head. See, and looking back on her stuff over the Stoffers, like, she didn't report anything that no one else did, and she lacked in my personal opinion, like in the moment, yeah, I subscribed to her from that too. So she was providing enough information. And what we really have to be objective about in that is that was such a hot topic that I think anybody who was willing to cover it, if you were interested in that, you were subscribing to their channel. That's where the majority of my subscribers came from initially. And I was brand new to YouTube. I had only posted like 2 or 3 videos. And then I posted that and gained a ton of subs from that. But if you look at how many views I had, it really wasn't that many. So, I mean, I think people subscribe, maybe not because she did the best at covering it, but because she was covering it. When you go back and review it and you look at other YouTubers like Sloan or the Dad Challenge or BX Beast Boy, or even mine, or Brit's, like you can see she really wasn't providing anything extra, except for the alleged neighbor interview, which people have said is she didn't actually talk to the neighbor. She pulled that from a different website. So I don't know. Yeah, you're right. With the 120 pages, no attorney team would speak as quick as KJ did. And she just got those. She made it seem like she had just gotten those that day. And I think what happened was when she went like my conspiracy theory of the timeline is when she went live or did a video, whichever one it was. I can't keep track of her. Like 2 days ago, and she said, oh, I'm going to have stuff tomorrow. And people were questioning, well, where is the proof you have? I think on that day, the subscriber and her had this conversation that she was going to pay for the CD and then the CD be sent to her, or it had been already purchased and it was overnighted and maybe it took a little bit longer than, what she had anticipated. Thank you, Amber. You rock. I know I'm slacking on the chat tonight. I'm sorry, guys. Usually I can keep up a little bit better. I'm just going off on a lot of tangents just because I think it's important. Like, I really am trying. Most of you know how I feel about Katie, but I'm really trying to, when I'm talking about this particular stuff, I really am trying to remain neutral and be devil's advocate, tell you both sides from what I know it could be and not try and push my opinion on you guys. It takes years for parental rights to be taken away. Then there are appeals. It can take years. It usually takes a while. But in hindsight, what we have to realize is this custody battle has been going on for a couple of years. So is it a possibility that they had maybe started discussing terminating parental rights? Yes, it is a possibility. And as I said in that one live where I broke this down from either parent's perspective from my previous work history, I have seen stuff like this happen. As disgusting as it sounds for a parent to put a child through this and try to convince a child that this has happened, I have worked cases like that. The children were not this old, though. The children were younger. They were verbal, but they were younger and easier to convince. That's the only thing that really, really has me caught up is this child is not super, super young. Is she young? Yeah, but is she really, really young? No. You don't think she's giving credit? Yeah. What's interesting is she said a few months ago she would do the Chad. Oh, I just totally lost my spot. Hopefully I can find it. If not, I'm sorry. If I missed something and you wanted me to see it, please just recomment it. I'm sorry. Oh, I found it. Because it would take too much research. Well, if that's really how you feel, I don't know if it's a good thing that she's willing to be that honest with her audience, or if it just really speaks to her absolute laziness. And if she did say that to her audience, I would hope that maybe that would give them to think more. She's been pushing since she's been covering a story that people don't like her side to think critically. I would think if she made that comment, her subscribers would think critically and realize that she probably feels that way about all of the stuff she covers. That's just my opinion. To redirect, to protect herself. Yeah. That's kind of like when she actually like said, "Oh, I didn't get this, so and so did." I'm like, why did you mention that? Because you didn't give the person the actual credit. And that could have been at that person's request, and I would be understanding of that. But why didn't she make that comment then? They asked to stay anonymous, it was very weird. Yeah. How did everyone like the 12 million, 1000%, or whatever she said repeatedly in regards to the gag order? I mean, why is she getting caught up on the gag order? Again, if the gag order was never lifted, then Michael is going to be held in contempt of court for however many times he's broken that. So I don't know why she's getting hung up on that. And again, if he's being held in contempt of court, like depending on how things are, wouldn't you think that like at this point, with this being such a public case, law enforcement would have done something by now? Maybe not, because it's in a different jurisdiction, but when it comes to the safety of the kids, like the kids could have easily been removed from the dad or like placed with a different relative or something like that. You get hung up on her needing to be right. Yeah, and that's really what this pushed off to me when I saw her. Like, she was gloating. Dottie said that she was definitely gloating, and you can tell that in her face, and she's smiling through parts of it, and she's like scoffing at stuff that's like proving her point right. But again, she only referenced like 5 or 6 pages out of 1200. There's no way she went through all of that. And like, my thing is I wonder if she's going to be willing to allow a different YouTuber to view that. I don't think she will. I think she's going to make a YouTuber go through whatever link she went through to get it. But that also shows that's a little bit suspicious to me. And, I'm just speaking out of my own interpretation of it. Who knows? Maybe she would. I'm blocked, so she can't talk. I can't ask her anything, because I would read through all 1200 if I had access to it. Yeah, Nurse Kimberly. Unfortunately, almost every state is understaffed when it comes to CPS. Are they behind the ballgame in how their methodology and how they operate their investigations? They could be. I know from the state I moved to the state I'm currently in, although I'm not working in that field right now, I still work closely with it, and it is very different here. Very, very different from what I'm used to. Okay. You think COVID is making school and therapy hard to get? Yeah, but who's to, like, that's just, so with the school and the therapy thing, she is saying that it was court ordered for these things to happen. Okay. And I'm pretty sure in one of the court orders that she pulls up on her computer, you can see that. However, how does she know that the dad's not doing that? Like, that literally, her saying that the dad is not following through with those things are hearsay, because that's not in the court order. The court order doesn't say Michael Long is not, have X, Y, and Z child's names in school. Maybe has she gotten information from somewhere that they're not in school, and the whole truancy thing? Yeah. But again, who's your source in that then? Like, why is she not being forthcoming with who her sources are? Because she's afraid that she's, like, my opinion and my take on it is she is trying to protect herself in case it goes bad. Not in case what she's reporting on is wrong, but in case it comes back to bite her in the butt. Yeah, views don't match her subscriber count. They haven't for a while. All right, Britt, I'm sure that was a while ago. People are going to see the train wreck. I'm glad you're here too, Amber. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, we're growing. So, Mila, please tell me how to say your name correctly, like the enunciation of it, so I don't feel bad if I'm continuing to pronounce it wrong. She says that she feels like people are waking up and turning to reputable YouTubers like Britt and myself, and that we're growing organically. I appreciate that. Yeah. And it comes, I think people get so caught up in the money and so caught up in the numbers that they feel they have to compete with everybody. So they're willing to break terms of service and do like purchase stuff. Like, neither one of us are doing it for money, and neither has, from my understanding, the Dad Challenge podcast, he did become monetized after the Micah stuff, but he was doing this for a couple of years without being monetized. Sloan does this and isn't monetized. Why? Because something's wrong with YouTube and, has an issue with his content. But, like, and they're all growing rapidly and they all deserve it. I'm growing a little bit slower than them, but I'm fine with that. I'm very happy of the community that, we have going on over here. Yeah, Jen, I agree. You can tell when people are organically in Social Blade. You really can see if people are buying or not. You don't see her being recommended anymore. I'm surprised I came up and recommended. Hey, Michelle Z, how are you? Sorry, I'm behind on saying hi. The Organized Chaos, hello. So Organized Chaos said, I have been hearing, I don't know personally, that it's illegal for someone to gain court records and share them with someone else. It's being said KJ should have acquired them herself first. I think it depends on the state and the kind of record you are getting. So I don't know. If I lived in Texas, maybe I'd know more. I know in Florida for dependency records, only the people involved in the case could get those records. And even then, they were redacted unless you were the parent in the trial setting, which is weird because I thought this case hadn't gone to trial yet, but there was testimony from CPS, which is really abnormal, at least from where I'm from. It's really abnormal to provide testimony until trial unless the judge is asking you. And it's not very common, again, where I'm from and what I have done before, it's not very common to provide that much information. I'm not saying that that's wrong. Obviously, it's not. It's in a court document, but that's very weird. I think a lot of things with this case are confusing because I don't think it's always been handled appropriately. And that's not to bash any agency or organization. It's just the feeling that I'm getting from all of this mixed information that we are getting as the case goes on. Yeah, parents do definitely coach kids. Absolutely. You can, if you're a trained professional though, you know what questions to ask and how to skirt around if they're being coached. So if CPS said that they were coached, I would imagine that they were coached. I'd be interested to know what they were coached in though, because you can be coached in one thing and not coached in another and still have a disclosure and still have abuse and neglect occurring. Does that make sense? No, I'm not, definitely not. I'm not trying to be a reporter. I'm just trying to have conversations. It's just, Katie just continues to end up inserting herself in an area that I am very knowledgeable in professionally and personally. So I'm comfortable with talking about it. In Britt's live the other day, she talked about how she doesn't like that this case is being discussed and exploited. I understand that argument. I totally do. And I respect her for that. And in her comment section, I did say that. I said, I understand where you're coming from. I respect your opinion. However, I disagree. I think it is okay to talk about things like this if you're talking about them from a very respectful and neutral standpoint. And if you are going to talk about your opinion with the people who are going to watch your video or your live, you just make it very clear when you are inserting your opinion or what you are deducing from the situation. That way it doesn't come off as you trying to push your narrative or push your thoughts onto them or make them believe things are happening that potentially aren't happening. You don't think honesty and KJ's name could ever be used in a sentence together. She doesn't want her audience to think the same way. A cult doesn't want her members to think she's awful, in your opinion. I mean, a lot of us share that same opinion, Amber. Michelle said the record she got had already been published to the public, or at least that's your understanding. I mean, that's what she said. Somebody had to have gotten them and paid money to get them, so they must be accessible by the public. I'm surprised they weren't redacted dealing with minors. Like, that's really surprising. It wasn't redacted at all. So that makes me wonder, like, was this person involved to some extent and that's why they got unredacted forms, or were they redacted? I remember seeing, I listened to the video. I didn't fully watch the video because I was at work. And I remember seeing parts of it like whited out, but I couldn't, that's not how records come when they're redacted by the courts. Five pages out of 1,200. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why. The only reason I can think of on why she went ahead and reported it is because she wanted to say, see, guys, I was right. See, here's the court documents that support what I was saying. What about like the other 1,195? What did they say? Oh, really organized chaos. I did not know KJ and Critical K fell out. If you're still here, can you provide some more information? Malia. I think I've butchered that almost every time I've said your name. And I'm not going to lie, I have a terrible memory, so I might still do that. Just remind me, like, I'm not going to take that as you being rude. Just put the pronunciation of your name if I misspell it wrong, so I'll know that, or misspeak it. That way I don't do that again. I don't want to disrespect any of you guys like that. My take is that she's delusional and truly believes whatever she says is fact, so she has no sources. Ever wonder how she has so many sources? A bit suspicious to me from a psychology standpoint. I could see that. Like, I've kind of questioned that with her. Like, does she believe the information that she puts out? And that's why she says it so matter of fact. I don't know if I believe that. Like, the more I watch her, I think she is aware to some degree that she is just providing her opinion, and that has gotten her the platform she has because she is convincing people of her opinion and how she thinks. So she continues to do that because it's worked for her this far. I was referring to how KJ obtained the court records she shared on her latest live. Did I miss a comment of yours? Content creators should get paid. Y'all should make money. The amount of time I've enjoyed your streams and the darkest places have been taking me out of. Well, thank you, Aunt. Well, I'm glad, I'm glad we are able to assist in making you feel better and like talking to you and stuff like that. I get the sentiment where, YouTubers should be paid, and in time it'll come back to us. The ones who are doing it the way that we want and building the audiences that we want, like, it'll come back to us eventually. It may take a little bit longer, but I think it'll come around. Yeah, the organized chaos. I wonder what kind of medical findings were in there, though. Like, was it actual medical records, or was it just the findings, like the overall medical findings of said examinations? And then she wanted to gloat at one point about how allegedly they recently took the child to the doctor, and that the doctor's refusing to give them the medical records. He's still a parent. Like, I don't think they can do that until he doesn't have parental rights. I don't think any medical professional can keep their child's medical records from them. Am I saying that that's not happening? No, but I'm saying KJ didn't show any proof of that actually occurring, and I don't know if that's legal in Texas. Just because something is legal or not, does that mean that people follow the law? No. So, I mean, it could be happening. Per a local attorney, all of the records should be unattainable, heavily redacted. Yeah, like, I'm surprised they weren't redacted. That's why I'm like, who got those for her? Q-tip, Katie inserting herself in places she wasn't meant to go. Yeah, constantly. I mean, that's all she does, I feel like, at this point. The way she talked in the car didn't sound coached. It didn't, but if the video was edited as she's alleging it was, a lot of things can be done with edited footage. Am I saying that's what I think happened? No, not really, but it is a possibility. CPS also stated that there was documented abuse in the mother's home, but they were closing the case. Hey, Miss Nay, there are too many narratives in the story. Fence sitting is okay. Fence sitting is what should be happening when it comes to the parents. Like, in my opinion, if you want to talk about this, if you want to, bring awareness to this kind of stuff, which is a lot of what my channel started out as, make sure you're being neutral. Like, don't push your narrative. And if you do push your narrative, just let your audience know, I feel strongly about this because of XYZ. I think this is my opinion. This is what I think could happen. Don't say this is what's going to happen, because she continues to do that. And, like, I don't see any action coming from it. Yeah, I agree with Nurse Kimberly said, I don't think the discussion is abuse or no abuse. Rather, it's how KJ is and has handled this and her hypocritical attitude. Absolutely. Like, if you want to stick on the topic of Katie, yes, for sure. Like, we could continue to talk about how she has misrepresented and mishandled covering this case. Do I think she shouldn't have covered it? No. I mean, we're all welcome to our opinion. We're all welcome to, if you have a YouTube channel, to put your opinion on that channel. However, like, you need to be careful on what you are saying and how you are saying it. And, she keeps saying that. I thought it was kind of funny, and I don't know if many people caught on it. Let me know if you did. She even brought up the fact, like, for like 5 seconds, about her monetizing it. And I've had this discussion. My opinion is not a popular opinion. I could care less if people monetize talking about abuse and neglect. But if you're going to talk about it openly. Like, stop being afraid that it's going to get demonetized and spelling out words. Like, if you're going to talk about it, then freaking talk about it. Don't act like you're 5 and be afraid that your money's going to get taken away, because that's where I have an issue with it. Like, you're putting in forth the time and the effort, not really trying to focus those two things towards Katie, but I'm just saying in general, because this topic of monetization has come up on other sensitive topics, and I honestly, truly, I don't care if people monetize it, even if they're pushing a narrative I don't agree with. I'm not going to condone them for making money because it's what they're doing for a living. Can I say I think it's sleazy and I don't feel comfortable with them maybe monetizing it? Yeah, but I'm not going to, say that they shouldn't be, because it's not my place. That's not what YouTube is about. I appreciate that, Dottie. Yeah, and that's why I started talking about this, was to provide both potential scenarios. However, I think a lot of people who have come to my channel have come to my channel after that, which is fine. Like, I'm okay with that, but they don't know what all I have already discussed in relation to this case. I agree, Jen. I don't think anybody who gets close to KJ, I can't talk about Critical K because I've never watched her content. But I don't think anybody who ever gets close to KJ or has any kind of relationship with her, whether it be a professional one or not, ends up staying. I think that that bridge always gets burned. Bob and Carrie said her proof are sections from the mom's motions, not from evidence. Well, I mean, I didn't look at I listened to it. I didn't really see what documents she had blown up. She also, I did notice when I did see the screen, because I was trying to at one point see what kind of motions they were or what kind of documents they were, and it was all cropped out. Like, she had it, just the parts that she wanted us to see were what was visible on her screen, which she's reporting it, so she has the ability to do that, but I find that a little bit shady. The more subscribers you have, the more subscribers you have, it's harder to speak in the chat as well as the chat runs. Yeah, I know it. Even now, with just a few more people than what I'm used to, it's been hard to keep up with the chat. It's going down on Kay's channel and on Twitter. It's brutal. Between Bob and Carrie, are you talking about between Katie and her, or did I miss something? Oh, that was nice of you, Mila. But still, let me know, because it's just spelt differently. I can see where it's has that pronunciation, but it's spelt different from how I've seen that Mila spelt before. So I'm just saying, if I say it wrong again, just let me know. Jen said you were surprised to see that she shared it in the first place, because she doesn't seem to be one to share. Tina has it on her Twitter. Yeah, I didn't see it before I got on here. I actually got on here relatively quickly, more fast than normal. Usually I kind of sit in here, make sure everything's set up and stuff like that before I go live. But when my husband came home, there was a dog just roaming around in our street. And us being the people we are, if we ever see a dog roaming around, we find their owners. partly because we have 2 huskies and they do tend to get out occasionally. So I kind of believe in what goes around comes around, karma kind of thing. So anytime I see a dog that's not with an owner, I leash it up and find their owner. So I had to do that. And it put me behind schedule for sitting on here and getting everything set up. I just found a, okay, I read that. If they're coached and would they be convincing as she was? Is that usual? It's not super usual for a parent to go to that. In my experience, let me be careful on how I word this just in case. In my experience, it's not common for a parent to coach to that extent. It has happened, but that is why, at least in the state I worked in, we were trained on how to interview, and we weren't I wasn't a forensic interviewer, but we were trained on how to interview and specific ways to interview, especially children, to see if they are coached or not. Typically, I mean, think about yourself and like coming up for a kid being coached is just like convincing them of a lie. So think of a lie that you would very easily be able to tell, but that would have complexities to it, because that's what kind of coaching a child is. It's hard to try and explain this, but if you coach a child to say, let's totally take this case out of context. Let's say a parent is coaching their child about another parent using substances. A parent may coach the child and saying, if you're ever asked if you've seen mommy smoke something, say yes. And they may give them a description of what to say, whatever paraphernalia they want to say. As an interviewer, when they say yes, you're supposed to ask more questions. It doesn't stop at yes. What did it look like? What color was it? Can you draw a picture for me? Because if they are coached, they're not going to be able to answer all of those follow-up details. And if you still have suspicion that they're lying or that they were coached further, you continue to go into more minute details, because a child is not going to know how to lie about those little details. And a parent can't coach to that extent. Medical records aren't necessarily sealed, Dottie. They are covered under HIPAA. So that's even a bigger issue, to be quite honest. So if Katie wants to talk about people getting in trouble, if she discussed anything or disclosed anything found in those medical records and she re-released it, that's a violation of HIPAA. So talk about getting in trouble. And Nurse Kimberly would be able to talk about how important HIPAA is and the repercussions of breaking HIPAA. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was saying. As a guardian, you can't be restricted from your children's records. She said she got, oh, that live? Yeah, I did see that live at the very end where she said she got a message from the attorney's lawyer. I cringe when KJ says the stepmom was doctor shopping. Doctor shopping isn't getting a second and third opinion. It's going around to a bunch of doctors except, yeah, she's not using doctor shopping in the correct term. Doctor shopping is typically used when you are referring to someone who is looking for medication. You are correct in that. And typically people who do that kind of thing are on lists. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt on that. Not that it's called doctor shopping. I have seen a parent in my previous work experience go to multiple doctors and say, my child said this to me, and even though the child didn't disclose that to a nurse, the nurse, being a mandated reporter, did what they had to do. There was no evidence in any kind of findings that they did, any medical findings that they did. There was no evidence. But because a parent is saying that the child disclosed this to them, they're a mandated reporter. And that happened multiple times because they would go to different doctors and say that. And each time, doctors, nurses are mandated reporters. Although the child never disclosed anything, the parent did, which led enough doubt. And a lot of this had to do with the child's age. That's why this one's super hard for me to really even try and get into like further than that, because of how old these children are. They're not like toddlers. Like, they can talk, they can think for themselves. Are they impressionable because they're children? Yes. Are they even more impressionable by parents? I'm sure most of you are parents and can convince your children at times of really outlandish things because they have great imaginations. So, I mean, it's just so 50-50. Yeah, I didn't, and Nurse Kimberly, I've said I've not watched the entire video. I have skipped through it because it's hard to watch. It's so hard to watch. And the one that Katie keeps referring to being an illegal recording, I haven't watched that. Yeah, she does. The Organized Chaos says she structures every statement as if it's infallible proof. And that is one of my biggest criticisms of her. She needs to stop doing that. Like, even if she doesn't, with anything she reports on, not just something this serious, just in general. Because she does it with everything. Yeah, the poor baby is what matters. I agree. All of them. There, I can't remember who it was, but there has been a lot of focus on just the little girl. Understandably so. But, we have two siblings that are also in the same households that the little girl is, so there's concerns there too. Oh, thanks, Stella. I appreciate that. Yeah, Amber said her spelling out words makes it obvious that she's worried about money. I can tell you, I did a live, what was that, earlier this week, talking about addiction, and I don't know if ads are running on that. And I could care less if they are. Like, if you're going to be wanting to talk about something this serious and you've wanted to gloat about how you donated money from previous videos because you got backlash, one, that's your fault for backing down. Like, if you truly didn't think that you should donate that money, why didn't you stick to your guns? Like, you're a YouTuber, you are in control of your income, you're in control of the money you get. If you truly felt that you deserved that money from that video, then why did you donate it? Why did you make such a big deal about it? And then turn around and say in this video, like, the kind of the opposite. Like, I don't think she realizes how much of a hypocrite she is. Hey, Britt. Bye, Organized Chaos. Thanks for being here. That Critical K live is just flying. Also, just FYI, the yelling lady from is over there, so troll. Huh. What is she yelling about over in Critical K's chat? She does not call them peasants, does she? Yeah, Britt and I are both curious. Oh, the Kendra lady. Yeah, she's just got to be a troll then. It does. Melody, I agree. When you spell a word, it takes away their power. And it also just takes away from your credibility, in my opinion. Like, you want to sit there and say that you don't care about the money that you're making off of it, that you just want to get to the truth, and you want to spew all this. What's funny is she was saying how much Michael's been a master manipulator and this, that, and the other. Like, from that sentence on to like her next 3 points, I was like, man, if only you could hold up a mirror, because you're a master manipulator to your audience. And then I can't remember what the next few points were, but they correlated with her so well. It was at the very end of that video. Tia, who is this Tia lady? I heard Katie talk about her. I don't know who that is. He's going to be countering with real evidence in court. Yeah, I mean, just because it's in black and white doesn't mean anything. I could write on a piece of paper in, black ink, my skin's purple, and you could read that. Doesn't mean my skin is actually purple. You aren't lying. I had to terminate someone because they had a friend help file patient records at closing time for an eye doctor's office I manage because of HIPAA. Yeah, HIPAA is super serious. And, where I'm currently working with the justice system and addiction, our stuff is like so hard for anybody to get because it deals with substance abuse and mental health, which is mental health records are like super, super hard to get. I can't fully remember all of the context that Katie talked about. How somebody said the child needed to be in inpatient psychiatric care. I just want to say to Katie, if that were the case, that child would have been 5150s, 5150, Baker acted, whatever that state calls it. If they were concerned for her mental health that much to be in psychiatric care the way that you alluded to it, she would have been admitted. So they may be saying she needs to be seeing somebody on a very regular, high rate client, like seen almost every day for multiple hours for the therapy. Inpatient care doesn't necessarily mean that they're there 24/7. That's residential. And you led your audience to the way that you reported it was that, she needed to be admitted, which you could have potentially caused your viewers more cause for concerns for this little girl, especially the way you're talking about it. And especially the way that you're like putting out there that the dad could potentially be this horrible person. Like, you're not doing any better by trying to show that what you said was right. I hope she sees that. I honestly hope she sees that. And she says that she wasn't doing it for, any issues with YouTubers or something like that. And I'm like, my butt, you're not. That's exactly why you're doing this. Yeah, I've seen other people comment that she yells at her own child while she's on live. I've never seen a video or anything where she's done that, so I don't feel comfortable commenting on that just because I haven't seen that behavior. I agree with that, Melody, that it's odd how her subscribers stay when she insults them. Yeah. But I mean, if you heard anything from Little Red and how she treated her moderators, she treated some of her moderators very, 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 very poorly. And they stayed for a while. They were giving her the benefit of the doubt. They were sweet people, doing what they thought was best. Yeah, she does delete her comments because she's afraid it won't be monetized. Then don't talk about it. Like, that's my thing. Like, if you're that pressed to make money, then don't talk about stuff that's controversial, because to me, I won't take you seriously unless you're, especially something this serious, that you won't just say it, and I know that not everybody agrees with that, and that's okay. Yeah, she's always made it kind of evident that she only cares about the money. She is over there agreeing with everything. Who's over where agreeing with everything? Did I miss something? Apparently Nancy Grace is out there posting court docs too. Like neutrally or in support of the mom? Yeah, Nurse Kimberly. I've had other people say that in my comment sections, that they believe she's a narcissist. Although I have experience in mental health, I'm not at a level where I can diagnose, so I don't know if I feel comfortable saying that. But she definitely has qualities. Like, if you look at the DSM-5 or any legitimate definition of a narcissist, like, she has quite a few of the qualities. Kendra is over there agreeing with everything everyone is saying on Critical Case Live. About what? Agreeing with them about what? And what is Critical K talking about? Did Dustin Daly post a video on YouTube in regards to Rich? Because if he did, I'm going to be super upset, because I went through their podcast. I went through Luscious's video. I went through Joella's video in Luscious's podcast. I went through Nick Snyder's video. I watched and listened, rather. I listened to all of that stuff to be able to talk about it. And I'm not going to talk about it tonight. I'll either get on a live tomorrow and talk about it with you guys, or I will just make a video about it. But if he made a video, I'm not going to be happy, because that might change my opinion. He did. Gosh darn it. They are dogging the dad. The release of the documents. What are they saying about the dad? I want to see these darn court documents is what I want. Like, I'm not going to lie to you guys, because Katie doesn't have a good reputation, and neither does Critical K, whatever the heck her name is. If there was somebody who, and I'm not even saying Annie or the Dad Challenge, even if it was some random YouTuber who got a hold of these documents, who had some kind of credibility to them, I would much rather hear them say the same things if that's what's actually happening. Like, I just don't trust Katie. I don't know if I don't think any of you guys do either. Let me know if, I'm just putting my opinion onto you guys. But even if unless I can see all of the records myself, I don't know if I'm going to believe anything anybody says until court's done and we see where the children end up. And another thing that I found weird is Katie kind of was talking about this gag order and how the dad's been breaching it, and how the mom's been silent. Didn't she just brag about how the mom went on Nancy Grace's thing. Didn't she talk? Yeah, gag. Didn't she talk about how she's been talking to a close source of the family, alluding to it maybe being the mom? You know, like, there's some things there, like, she's definitely being hypocritical in how she's thinking and how she's talking about this, because which we all know. But I'm just saying, like, does she says this, and then, like, you know, the mom, although maybe not be coming out on YouTube and being interviewed, she's still talking about it as well. And they somehow, like, I'm interested to really know who this source who gave her these records are. I really want to know who that is. CK is saying the mother is traumatized by KJ having the documents. Well, every single person is traumatized by Katie having the documents. You, me, anybody who watched that video, the children, the dad, the mom, everybody is traumatized by it because she's pushing her narrative without, she's not a freaking attorney. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I mean that quite literally. Like, she is not an attorney. So what she's deciding to show is frankly, it makes me mad. The more I think about it, the more mad I get, because she only showed us parts, literally parts of a few documents when she says she has them on a Google Drive. And this, not that I think everybody should have access to these court documents, but if you are really trying to tell the truth, if you are really trying to stay neutral and let people make their decisions for themselves, why did you just post a little bit? Because we all know there's two sides to their story. There is no way in hell a judge is going to order on the side of caution, as you want to say, to put the children with somebody who's potentially, what you are alluding to, is more dangerous and more unsafe than the situation where all this allegedly happened. Like, I mean, honest to God, she needs, not that I'm trying to bring religion into it, because that's not what I'm trying to get at, but she seriously needs to take a step back and, like, look at her own content and her own coverage of this story as if it was somebody else talking about it. Because she has done the exact same thing that she wants to criticize and ridicule and threaten Josh and Annie about. She has done the same thing on the mom side. Yeah, you don't trust anything because she deletes. Didn't she say something about people deleting stuff? And I was like, or the dad deleting comments or something like that. Wasn't she referring to Michael? And I was like, you do the same thing. Like, you can't judge him and try to air him out about a behavior that you do too. Like, no, you can't do that. They're fighting over the mother. Is Katie in her chat, or is Critical K just giving her take on how Katie has decided to handle this? Which I honestly, like, it's super ironic that the one friend she had during all of this is now turning on her. Didn't I just say, like, anybody who gets close to her ends up on the wayside? Yeah, CPS hasn't removed the child, and I'm not familiar with Texas CPS, and I know different states, I say this all the time, have different rules, have different laws, they operate their CPS somewhat differently. However, the end goal is always that the child is safe. So, yeah, there's a lot that doesn't add up with this case. And I mean, I agree, like, at some point, and I know it's kind of hypocritical because I'm talking about it now, at some point we have to stop talking about the parents and how the parents have done this and just say that we support the child and wait for the judge to make his decision. And Katie wanted to say how the dad was so happy because the judge was on his side. And she was alluding to the fact that the judge isn't on his side anymore. The judge hasn't said anything. So don't you go pushing out to your viewers or the people willing to watch you spew shit out of your mouth that he's on either parent's side. He's not on anybody's side. He's on the side of the children and making sure that they're safe and making sure moving forward he makes the right judgment call because that's his fucking job. He's not here to say I like this parent over this parent. Ooh, who's in that live? Because you're saying they. So is Katie in there too? Or is it just Critical K? So people who follow Michael are peasants? Is that what she's saying? At least we're not white trash. I mean, if she wants to go to that point, like, take a look at your company. I've never watched this lady's videos. I don't know anything about her, but don't go calling people peasants because that could be taken a number of ways, but like people can say some few choice words about you, I'm sure, and I have plenty I could say about Katie, and I've always remained relatively nice about Katie because I don't ever want to be mean. But that's not right. Like, you can't. Why do they think that that's okay? And I'm saying they because you guys are saying they, but I don't know who's in this live. You guys aren't going to make me look up this bitch's Facebook. I shouldn't have said that. This lady's YouTube. So how many subscribers did this Critical K lady have before she started talking about this? Because that's something that Katie wants to. Hey, Mandy, that's something Katie wants to hone in on Annie. Yeah, he did, Dottie, but he wasn't calling other people pet. Not that I think you're saying that, but he didn't call anyone else a peasant. He said he felt like a peasant because he's used to being in his Tesla. Was that maybe a poor choice of words? Yeah, but earlier I said retard, and that's a terrible term, especially as a social worker, for me to say. So can we all get in our emotions and maybe say something and acknowledge that it was probably not the right term to use? Yeah, but I'm not like referring to people who are believing something other than you is just so rude and like asinine. I have no idea, Britt. I keep hearing this lady's name and I've never like actually looked into her content because people were saying she's just as bad, if not worse. And I mean, her YouTube, her live, I hope nothing pops up on my phone. Her live, can you guys see that? Says calling all peasants round 2. She's gained about 100 subs every day in the last week. Let's see. I can pull her up on Social Blade, I guess. Not that it, I mean, genuinely, it doesn't matter, but I'm just saying, like, Katie wants to go off on Annie and Dad challenge because they have an opposing opinion of hers, and then somebody that has the same opinion of hers is doing the same thing. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So it looks like, I mean, I'm only getting a snapshot of her thing, but it looks like she has steadily been growing at least 100 subs almost every day. It skips a few days here and there, but it's okay. She's like a nasty character from Simpsons. I can't take that. 10 seconds was too much. We can't take everything so seriously, especially when they apologize for something wrong or says they aren't right. Yeah, and I totally took accountability for saying a term I really shouldn't have. I know it's offensive, and there's no excuse for it. I know it's offensive, and I said it because I was mad. She's pretty bad. Yeah, I'm interested to know what kind of stuff. I'm interested to know her actual argument, like if she legitimately has one. What is this? So Katie got on live in her Teddy Fresh hoodie that she bought with her husband, it looks like. What channel is this on? On Her Without a Crystal Ball channel. So is she now going to have her husband actually on live? Who's watching the kid? Never mind. Maybe he was in bed. I forget I'm on a totally different time zone than a lot of people. Her views don't matter. Maybe she learned from, maybe she got some advice from good old Katie about what to do to try and make your channel look more appealing to other people. Nurse Kimberly said she was in Target tonight and color blocking is everywhere. It must be a thing this season. I mean, color blocking was a thing from what, like the 80s and 90s? Like, I get that a lot of fashion from then has kind of resurfaced. Like bell-bottom jeans have kind of come back a little bit. What are those things called? Overalls have come back. I mean, so many fashion and even makeup trends have come back from that time. Okay, what, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Hyla, whatever. H3 lady. Like, I get she maybe made a design, but there's only so many colors and so many parts of a sweatshirt. Do I think that maybe James took inspiration from her? Probably. I mean, he's kind of copied other people, but at the same point, like, why the heck does it matter? Like, if you look at a lot of, like, across the board, if you looked at every YouTuber's merch on like a poster board, it would all look the same because it's all literally a t-shirt with like their logo or, you know, whatever their intro is. It's nobody's is like super out there from what I've seen. And I think they're just pissed off because James Charles has more of a following and may buy his over theirs if they see his merch first. KJ is viewing Trisha's interview on H3. What? Is that what that live was about? Is that what you're telling me, Jen? Yeah, I don't watch either. I mean, I obviously I do makeup. I like makeup. I watch beauty gurus. That's kind of what got me into YouTube, was watching people who did their makeup so I could learn how to do my makeup. However, James has been somebody I've never been a fan of. I don't know if it's the age difference. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't have anything against him, but I've never really watched his content, to be honest. She tried to latch on to Deaf Noodles. Now she's on H. I saw that she was talking about Ethan in that live. She mentioned him, and I was like, really? Like, how many big YouTubers? Which is funny. Actually, what's funny that she's leached on to H3 because in one of my other lives, or maybe I was aware of it on my own. I can't remember. But she was all up and excited that Keemstar had given her a shout out when all that Sanders stuff happened, and then he took it away. H3 and Keemstar have a feud going on, and I've tried to look into it to talk about it, and there's just so much going on. I don't know if I can decipher it. Yeah, color blocking's, I don't know. As a small channel myself, I couldn't imagine buying subs and views. I couldn't either. And Britt and I have very similar thought processes about our YouTube and our communities on here. Like, to have a community you actually care about and that you feel genuinely about and that you have a connection with, although it may grow and you may get a lot of viewers, like, I still think the genuine connection is going to happen. When you're buying subs, like, that's why you lose touch, because you don't have that connection with your subs. Yeah, I saw that she was live with her husband. I just pulled her channel up to see what was going on, because I was getting confused if Critical K and KJ were in the live together. Once I bought myself a sub, present to myself. I was saying, which sub? Is that what you mean, Melody? You don't like James either? I'm glad I'm not the only one. And you know what I've noticed? I might DM you about that. I don't know if I want to talk about that on a live. Yeah, he has a younger crowd to begin with, but the color blocking doesn't seem that far off to me from James, in his defense, because he did just have that tie-dye collection. KJ's probably TTing her pants. I don't know why it tried to block that. It's weird. Good night, Michelle. Yeah, I'm probably not too far behind you. That's why you're finally chatting, Mandy. I've had a lot of people in my last couple of lives say that they finally felt comfortable to come out and chat a little bit. She got annoyed once in a live chat. People were talking about how much they like Peter Mon. She was getting annoyed. She was getting annoyed because somebody else was getting recognition in her own chat because she's boring. At least Peter Mon has crazy theatrics, but at least he's entertaining to watch. Oh my goodness. Is there anything else about this situation from a neutral standpoint you guys want me to talk about? Or any questions about how I know this stuff to work or anything like that? Yeah, Peter has developed a character, and if you've been with Peter since the beginning, a lot of I had somebody recently say they can't stand his intro because it's long. His subscribers have asked for that intro. If you're newer in the last couple of years, you may maybe not know that, but his intro started like this. Then people asked him to add on to it. His subscribers have built his intro, which I don't watch his intro. I watch up to the Beast part because I like the flip of the fan. I think it's cool, but it shows how easily entertained I am. But once he starts singing, I skip forward. I just can't. I can't at that point. Yeah, he can be a lot for sure, especially on his drama channel. I really like his Peterisms channel. Oh, thank you, Nurse Kimberly. Now, I'm glad you popped over into my life. This is usually how I kind of talk about Katie. There's been other lives that I've gotten a little bit more heated, but I've never really been mean to her. And, I want to say here, I really am proud of the Dad Challenge and Annie and even Britt, because Katie has thrown some subtle shade at Britt. And you know, I'm the kind of person, I don't know if you guys can tell based off of how I talk and stuff. I'm the kind of person that I'm going to defend myself, and I'm likely to clap back if I think you are doing me an injustice. Um or at least make a comment of it. And they have handled themselves very well at all turns. I hope I can learn from them and learn to maybe hold that back, because I know that is a lot of social media people's downfall, is them clapping back at people. And I'm not talking about having a difference of opinion or anything like that, but in one of Katie's lives that I happened to be in, it was shortly after the Unirock thing, where he was just being a freaking asshole to Britt and Vicky from Eyeshadow Island. Somebody asked in one of her lives if they knew who It's Britt Glow was before Britt changed her name. And she said, do you know who Britt, like she read the comment verbatim and was like, I have no idea who you're talking about. I don't know who that is. And I was like, bitch, please. Like, you were in Unirock's live. I was there. I have screenshots of you being there with Britt on the screen and you donating money. So miss me with that shit. I was like, are you kidding me? How freaking and that's something like Britt's not mentioned it at all. I'm the kind of person that I would like mention that in a live in case she saw it, to be like, no, I saw your subtleness, bitch. Like, I saw it. I don't do shady very well. I am a very direct person. I don't handle that that well, and I'm hoping like I can learn to curb that a little bit, because I don't want to ever offend anybody for just getting irritated. Usually I can take a step back and really evaluate before I seriously pop off on anybody. But the way that Josh and Annie have been able to maintain their composure and not just call Katie several choice words that I would like to call her is shows so much restraint and so much maturity. And it really shows that they're not in this stuff for the drama, that they truly believe what they are saying and that they are just trying to get it out there, which is so respectable. And, you know, like I said, I really hope that and I want you guys to feel comfortable. If I ever say anything that's offensive or that you guys don't like, don't expect me to like get mad at you. I'm not going to get mad at my subscribers, but I am likely to get mad at another YouTuber if they like disrespect me or they discredit me when, you know, they may, because Katie does that. She discredits a lot of people. I love this shade because anyone with a head on their shoulders will see my points and actually think about it. Yeah, for sure. I agree. You remember her saying hi to me in a chat? Me specifically, Katie, yeah, that was before, that was when I was on the fence, and I had actually given her a super chat. I did a couple of times before. That was during the time when I was, I was on the fence. I could tell something was off, but I wasn't sure what. And I was attending every single live and I was asking questions and I was tipping her to get some points across. Not like disagreeing points, but things that I wanted her to ask to try and get my feel for her. I know, Jen, right? Raisins, exactly. I'm going to buy that hoodie. I don't really wear leggings, so I wouldn't wear those, but I'm somewhere where it's gonna get cold this winter and I need some sweaters, so I was like, I'm gonna buy one of these. I haven't yet though. Oh, thanks, Dottie. I appreciate that. Like, I'm not trying to be fake or convince people to like me. I don't care. Do I want to build a community? Yeah. But I'm not going to be fake to gain fake followers. I'm not going to talk like a 3-year-old. It bothers me that she baby talks her subscribers. You liked what I brought up? I can't remember because there's a couple of times I had chatted and she acknowledged me. Yeah, I don't sugarcoat a lot of stuff. I can't say I always say things respectfully because there's definitely times where I haven't. As I've gotten older, I've gotten better. And it's more so in my personal life than it is like people I don't know or like new friendships. I'm usually pretty good about it. But if it's somebody I'm close to or a family member, yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Unless it's something super, super sensitive, then I will. Yeah, no, I've said things that I probably shouldn't have ever said or ever even thought about saying. But if I feel justified in saying it, I don't regret it. I don't think there's obviously things in my life I regret, but things that I've said, I've never regretted. And if I did, I apologized. And I don't regret it once I apologize. If somebody wants to hold something against me that I apologize for and try to move on from, that's on them at that point. Like there's only so much I can do. I mean, I don't necessarily so how would I word this? I don't necessarily hate shade. Like you get some satisfaction out of throwing some shade and leaving that person questioning. But it's like if it's something super petty, like somebody taking your pen at work, like a pen that you bought and you really liked, somebody taking it and them saying they're going to return it. And then like the next day being like, oh, where's that pen or something like saying something silly, but like kind of serious at the same time. Like you said, you'd return it and you didn't, that kind of thing. I think there's kind of some fun in that. I'm also a super sarcastic person. I don't know if that comes off on my channel at all. Most of the time when we're talking about stuff that I don't think it's necessarily appropriate to be sarcastic at, but I'm really sarcastic. Almost everything I say is sarcastic. Yeah. I'm sure you have, Dottie. It's once you build that ability to just be straightforward with people and not lie and just tell them how it is, it's really hard to deviate from that because that's being genuine. And some people just get too much in their feelings about stuff. And we're all human. We all have emotions. We all get upset. I mean, you guys saw me upset a few weeks ago. What was it, last Friday? I got upset because something in my personal life had just happened that I had not anticipated happening. And, I've been kind of petty about it. And with the individual that this thing happened with, I have not talked to them and I've actually blocked them. And it's a family member. I've blocked them from being able to talk to me because I'm that mad about it, because I know myself enough to know that if they were to try and reach out to me right now, I would go balls to the wall and not be nice. So I know it's in my better interest and theirs right now for me to just have them blocked. Once I calm down from everything and I know I can have a conversation with them level-headedly, I will unblock them. And if they reach out to me, they can contact me. I've told my husband about it. So if this said person reaches out to him, he knows that I've blocked them, and I have told him to be honest and just say I'm mad and I don't want to talk to him. He hates being in that. I mean, this is the first time this has ever really happened where I've blocked somebody, especially for this amount of time. Usually I'm the kind of person that can just get over it really quick. But a lot went into this individual for me. And I feel very disrespected, and I'm really mad about it. So I don't want to talk to them. So he's not happy that he's gotten put in that position, but at times you have to be in places you don't want to be in a relationship. Oh, did I misunderstand what you were trying to say, Dottie? I'm sorry. No, yeah, for sure, Jen. I understand that. And it's hard to talk about the situation. Like, I don't know how much this person would want me to share. But they were having a really hard time. And, with my education and everything, I was their sole person for a while. And they did something, nothing super bad, but they just did something very quickly without really like taking the proper channels that they should have. So, at least in my opinion, so I'm upset about it. I'm more mad about it than I am upset, but I am upset about it. So I'm trying to let my emotions calm down, because this has been ongoing for like a year that I've worked with them. And not like worked like as far as like work, but I did use my education to some degree. And I know I need a break before I try and address anything with them. And if they really are worried because I haven't responded, because usually I'm the type to respond relatively quickly. So it's likely that if she becomes concerned or something like that, they will reach out to my husband. Yeah. When you were in school, your roommates got annoyed because I always had to sleep on it. I've learned this about myself because I used to hurt people's feelings because I wouldn't sleep on it. I don't like holding on to grudges. I don't like having to deal with stuff later. Like, I really want resolve then so we can move on and move past it. But with this particular situation, I've hurt too many people just addressing it then. Because even though I may be ready to get over it, I have learned not everybody is ready to get over things and talk it out immediately. I've had to learn that in my marriage, in friendships over the years. So I've learned to pay attention to my own emotions in case the other person is way up here, that I'm at least at a steady level to pull up here down to my level, or be able to have some kind of good conversation or something come out of the conversation, even if, they're heightened and I'm not. And I'm sure some of that came from just the work I've done, having to be level-headed, having to always maintain a composure. So, it could be a combination of things, but we're all human. Our feelings are going to get to us to some degree. Yeah, boundaries are super important. I'm sure there's a good reason for that, Dottie. It is hard to be someone's sole person. It can drain you. And that wasn't necessarily the situation with that individual. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to put boundaries in, especially for family. And just because you don't have contact with somebody, like, doesn't mean you don't love them, or you don't have care for them, or you don't wish them well. Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean, Jen. And with me being so vague, I understand, like, you would be right in that sentiment. maybe one day I'll talk about what's all occurred in more detail, but that's something that I would need to talk to that person about before I'd be willing to share their story from like an anonymous, not say who it is in my life. I mean, we're always working on ourselves, whether we're working on ourselves in our own personal time or with a professional or a combination of both. Like, as humans, you should constantly be working on yourself. You should constantly be trying to better some aspect of yourself. Am I saying that's something you need to focus on every day or a lot of your time on? No, but if you do notice or people bring to your attention maybe a flaw or a fault you have, it is worth your while to maybe address that with yourself and like really look inward and be able to acknowledge that that's an issue within yourself to not only better, you're only going to have healthier and better relationships if you address some of your flaws. We all have flaws. We all are flawed people. It's a matter of how you are willing to go about those flaws to have good relationships, to have healthy relationships, to be able to put in place boundaries. It is hard to work on yourself. It's hard to, look inward and see something you don't like about yourself. I don't like that I shut people out at times. I don't like that I can be very snippy because it's not been in, it's worked against me a lot. Dottie, I think the reason I say I would get their permission is because it's actually a very, very inspiring story. And I think it's one with everything that I have talked about in my open chats or open discussions, would actually tie into them to this particular story very well. But I don't know. I don't know if I feel comfortable talking about it without like having that conversation with them. Not that I would ever say who it was or, specifics for anybody to ever be able to identify who it was, even if I ever got doxxed or anything like that. But they watch my channel sometimes. So I would want to be sure that it was okay with them. Jen said, sometimes I wish I could block my mother from Facebook. Oh, you can always hide her for a little while. Yeah, Dottie, I saw your comment replying to mine and mentioning your religion. Don't think I didn't see the comment. I just didn't have time to reply to you before I got on live. But I'm sure growing up in a super strict religion or where, a parent wants you to continue that religion is hard. I think everybody's been working a long time. I mean, at least we're all able to identify that we need to be worked on. Because that's a problem I think a lot of people face. A lot of people, and I'm not trying to bring her back up, but a lot of people like Katie. I think if she would address some of her flaws, not only in her content, but in herself, it would resolve her issues people have with her content. Yeah, Melody, I have the same problem. Yeah, Jen, it depends on what it is if I care or not. Like what other people say about me and stuff like that, I typically don't care unless it's like you're discrediting me. Like you're like severely lying to a point that it could affect my credibility or people trusting me moving forward. It's called letting go. Yeah. You could call it that. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm only going to hang out for another couple minutes and cut it off at the 2-hour mark. Thank you, Mandy. I think so too. You guys are all awesome. I don't. Oh, excuse me. You can tell I'm getting tired. I don't know if I'm going to be live tomorrow. It will probably be Sunday. I'm going to try and film that. I have to watch Dustin Daly's video now, and then I will probably film that video. I don't know when it'll be up. And I am probably going to try to do another nail video for those who are interested in that stuff. If I can get it to work out. And then I have a couple of other ideas that I'm probably going to try and work on this weekend. And then like I had talked about before, I'm probably going to try and work it out to where I'm going live on days that I don't upload. And I'm going to try and pre-record those when I have the time. That way they're not coming out at like 9-10 o'clock at night for you guys. I'm going to try and schedule them, have them ready so that they're scheduled to go out at a decent hour for everybody. And then on the days that I don't post something that's already filmed, I will go live. And I'm trying to think that I'm going to like dedicate Wednesday nights to like open discussion nights where we talk about more serious topics. And I'll be putting up not a poll because I already know what I'm going to talk about this next week. We discussed it in my last open discussions, and it is going to have a trigger warning. We're going to be talking about like suicide and stuff like that. Sorry, I should have said trigger warning since I said the word. But we're going to be talking about that and like mental health in relation of like self-harm. So if that's anything you're interested in learning about or talking about, if you have your own story and you want to talk to us about it, that's kind of what those lives are for. It's just a good chat sesh about more serious topics. So that's the plan. And I think we maybe even talked about the following weeks. I'll have to look in my phone and see. But we've got the next couple weeks. I think I'm going to put those just for Wednesday nights. So that night will always be the open discussion chats unless something happens and I have to push it off a day. Oh, I missed some comments. Let me go up and go over them before I head out for the night. Yeah, Dottie, I'm about to go to bed too. What time is it here? It's only 9:30 here. I'm on Mountain Time. I'm sure you guys see that in my community post. I'm on a weird time zone. There's not many states that are on this time zone. I am also a Taurus, Amber. Mila, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you everybody who's still here. Michelle C said she's loved listening and learning so much about YouTube. Yeah, YouTube's all over the place. I mean, it's a wonderful platform, but it definitely has its flaws and needs to be improved in some areas. I bet, Nurse Kimberly. Hey, Smiley Mama. hope you're having a good day at work. I'm actually just about to get off, so. Oh man, I keep losing my spot. I'm getting tired. It's hard for me to read the chat. I have no. Yeah, I think once you identify that you have some anger issues or that you have some popping off issues, so how I like to refer to them, once you learn that that's a concern with your personality, you start to like reel it in a little bit. No problem, Mandy. Glad you were here. Yeah, I'm super stubborn. Man, there's a lot of tourists here. I'm surprised. I don't meet very many other tourists. And I don't follow Zodiac. So I just know I know my own personality traits. But aside from that, I don't follow Zodiac at all. Astronomy just doesn't interest me that much. Do I think it's fascinating when people talk about it? Yeah, I do. But I can't watch like videos about it and stuff like that. That's just too intense for me. I'm not all about getting into it like that. You're in Australia, so it's 1:30 p.m. there. Yeah, no, it's definitely nighttime here. It's Friday though. I try to go live at different times. During the week, obviously, it's usually after work for me, but during the weekend, I usually will do a morning or an afternoon chat. And I will probably do a get ready with me on Sunday because I haven't done one in a little while. Like on live. You don't follow Zodiac either. Oh, happy birthday, Mila. You'll have to remind us though if you're in the live next week cuz I'll forget. I have terrible memory. Yeah, Amber, I can see that being something that would trigger you a little bit. I was bullied as a kid. So, for not having parents. So, not quite the same, but don't I have the same sentiment with bullies. Like it's just behavior I won't tolerate. For sure. Once you're aware, you're accountable. I think that happens to people with siblings as they get older, either way. All right, guys. Well, I have appreciated everybody. I've enjoyed our chat. Um, I've been on for 2 hours. Usually, you guys know that doesn't deter me too much, but I'm tired. I'm having a hard time reading the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the night. I will probably let you guys pick around what time I go live on Sunday, but even if it ends up being an afternoon thing, it's probably going to be a get ready with me unless I have to get ready before. We'll see. I don't know. As I'm thinking of stuff, I'm just talking. But I won't be live until Sunday unless something crazy comes to. And then you guys know, just keep an eye on my community tab. I always try to post there when I'm going to go live. It's typically the same day or the day right before, but I do try to give you guys some kind of notice. I believe Britt is intending on going live this weekend. And although there is no obligation for me to be there for her lives as well as for her to be here for mine, I know we have similar followers and I know we share a lot of subscribers. So in efforts to not make you guys pick who you want to watch, I am doing my best to make sure we don't go live at the same time. I don't know I'm pretty sure she probably feels the same way. We've not really had that discussion, to be honest, because she usually tells me when her lives are so I can be there to moderate if she needs me. So I will, if she's going to go live tomorrow, then I'm definitely going to go live on Sunday. And I'll have to follow up with her to be sure. But I'm taking off a day this weekend so I can film videos rather than just lives. And so I can spend some time with my hubby. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the notifications. My own notifications for the YouTubers, I have them on for, which I never turn on all because I don't want my phone going off all day. But I do have notifications on, and I get the notification like 3 days after people post. I get the importance of having the notifications on to help drive your videos, but as you guys probably know, I'm not pushing anything here. I don't push super chats. I don't push liking my videos. If anything, when I film a pre-recorded video, I say like and subscribe at the beginning, but that's just for new people who may be coming on because of that topic. And I don't feel like I'm as pushy as other YouTubers are when it comes to that. So I don't know what's going on, but the community tab always has the lives, and I don't know if that goes in like your timeline or not, because I've noticed it's probably different looking at my own YouTube than looking at other people's YouTube, because other people's community posts will come up in, I don't even know what I'm trying to explain at this point. So it's always on my community tab. So if you're ever curious or you haven't seen a live in a while, just check my community tab. And I usually put polls up there too for people to vote on either times or days or topics to talk about. So oh, thanks, Amber. I'm glad you like that. Yeah, it's been a really weird week. My office moved buildings, so that's been an adjustment. And then work's just been kind of busy because of COVID. Things were pushed back. Like I said, I work in the courts to some degree, so court was pushed back for people. And now that it's kind of settled here, courts are kind of reopening, and it's just causing my job to be a lot busier. So we're adjusting to a lot of different things all within like the same week. So it's been a whirlwind of a week, and I didn't sleep well. So I'm super tired, and I tend to ramble when I'm tired like I have for the last 5 minutes. So I'm glad most of you guys left so you didn't have to sit here and listen to me ramble about useless stuff. But I will post on my community tab. It's the last time I'm saying this because I've said it like 5 times. I'm going to post on my community tab probably tomorrow what time I'm going to go live on Sunday, or I'll put a poll up, one or the other. There probably won't be a video tomorrow or a live unless something pops off. So with all of that being said, I am finally just going to click end the live stream. So have a good night. I will see you on Sunday.